Okay, who here hasn't been to space? Why? You better not throw up on my ship.
Approaching jump in 3, 2, 1.
Next topic's going to be the Game of Thrones spin-offs, and this is coming from George R.R. Martin. And in 2023, I'm looking forward to hearing what's going on in the Game of Thrones universe. I'm looking forward to what's going to be going on with the rumored Jon Snow series, what's going to be going on with some of the other, because I think we heard that there were supposed to be like 5 or 6 different type of spin-off projects that the Game of Thrones universe and George R. R. Martin were going to be a part of. It was part of on HBO Max and everything like that. But it looks like, I don't know, we're going to see what's going on there. And this is coming from George R. R. Martin himself. And I'm going to read this little part here where he said, make sure I have this quoted correctly. Okay. George R. R. Martin's update on shelved Game of Thrones spin-offs. This is what he had to say. In light of the HBO Max that's that pop. In light of the HBO Max shakeup, the critically acclaimed author shared some insight on the matter on his Not a Blog website, talking about how he's been working on so many bloody things. George R. R. Martin came bearing good news about the 6th novel, A Song of Ice and Fire, in season 2 of The House of Dragon. Yes, bro, so dope. Both of which are positively in the works. However, the novelist and screenwriter further remarked that while several of the other successor shows are being developed with HBO, they are not yet to be greenlit. He then addressed the status of the Game of Thrones spin-off series, pointing out that a couple of them have already been put off, but Martin hasn't lost all hope with regard to the future of these shelved spin-offs, as he noted how there is ample opportunity for them to be revived. Then he said, this is George R. R. Martin speaking. He said, in several of the other successor shows that we're developing with HBO, some of those are moving faster than others, as is always the case with development. None have been greenlit yet, though we are hoping maybe soon a couple have been shelved. But I would not agree that they are dead. You can take something off the shelf and easily. You can take something off the shelf as easily as you can put it on the shelf. All the changes at HBO Max have impacted us, certainly. So he's just talking about how a lot of the changes, with Zaslav, with the new regime, with things that Zaslav has been cutting and things that they're wanting to do, the changes with HBO Max, the changes just within Warner Brothers in general, a lot has changed and has shaken up some of the things that they were going to do with the Game of Thrones universe. So again, we knew about the Jon Snow spin-off, and one of the things that a lot of us were hoping was that with the Jon Snow spin-off that they were doing, that it was going to retcon maybe the last 2 seasons of or at least some things of Game of Thrones, because it's no secret that the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones are not loved at all, and that we all felt the way we felt at the end of that series and things like that. So I was kind of hoping that a Jon Snow series would come in and retcon some of those things. Retcon Bran. I'm sorry, I wasn't a fan of Bran being King Bran. I just wasn't. I was not. Retcon the way Daenerys, the road that she went down in seasons 7 and 8 and things like that. There are certain things that I would like changed from Game of Thrones moving into a Jon Snow series. But then they go on to say the international success of the Game of Thrones encourages HBO to commission 5 different spin-offs towards the end of the Emilia Clarke-led show, and the Fire and Blood author have been attached to all of them. But given Martin's latest updates about the situation, nothing can be said for certain. There is also no information at present about exactly which spin-off series have been shelved. Then they go on to kind of talk about House of Dragon, and it says House of the Dragon is the first Game of Thrones spin-off which was released just a few months ago. The fantasy drama series managed to garner high praise from both critics and audiences alike, with its viewers skyrocketing in no time. So House of the Dragon was renewed for another season in no time. So we know that House of Dragon is coming back. We're not expected to see anything from that probably until around 2024 and things like that. But we do know that House of the Dragon Season 2 is coming. We do know that there are spin-off series and things coming within the Game of Thrones universe as far as the Jon Snow series. We even heard that they might have wanted to do a Aegon the Conqueror series where we were going to see Aegon and his sister wives conquering Westeros and everything like that. So no, there's a lot of different things that George R.R. Martin is wanting to do. There's a lot of different changes, as we are all aware of, going on with WB, going on with HBO, going on with David Zaslav and company. So these are all things that we're wanting to see, but we just don't know what's been shelved and what we're going to see and X, Y, and Z, etc. So that's kind of what's going on there with the Game of Thrones series. That's kind of what's going on there with what George R.R. Martin has had to say in regards to the spin-offs that we're going to be seeing. But like I said, I'm pretty eager to see something from the Game of Thrones universe, because House of Dragon, for me personally, was a breath of fresh air in 2022 when it came to the fatigue that was being felt from some of the superhero things. And when I say fatigue, I don't mean for me personally, I can't speak for you, but I'm not saying sick of seeing superheroes. I'm saying sick of seeing lackluster superhero content, sick of seeing content that makes me go, for why? And House of Dragon was a breath of fresh air that kept me on the edge of my seat every fucking episode. Even the filler episodes, even the episodes, because there were episodes where there were no dragons, there were episodes where there was no action, but the dialogue and the drama and the tone and how intensified everything was in House of Dragon kept you as an audience, as a viewer, engaged in what was going on. So I completely support anything going on with what HBO Max and George R.R. Martin, and anything that they're trying to do with any type of spin-offs, especially if George R.R. Martin is attached to it. That's another thing. When you have the creators attached to what they're doing, that's why House of Dragon was so successful. That's why Game of Thrones, before we got to the final 2 seasons, that George hadn't wrote the books for yet, were so successful. It's because you have the creator next to it that knows what he's talking about, that knows his lore, that knows the stories that he wants to tell. But on top of that, you just have great fucking storytelling. You just have amazing stories that, again, keep you encaptured for sometimes an hour, 15 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour and 10 minutes, hour, 5 minutes, however long those episodes were for House of Dragon. So, I'm excited for it. I wish they had a little bit more to tell us. I wish they, had some type of dates or whatever we're going to be going on with the spinoffs, but we are where we are. So let us know down below in the comments of what you guys are thinking as far as the House of Dragon Season 2, any of the spinoffs coming on within the Game of Thrones universe. Are you excited for a Jon Snow series? Are you excited for any of the spinoffs in general? Or are you just like, man, why are they doing all these spinoffs? Shouldn't we just be focusing on blah, 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 whatever, ever? But I also will say, a Jon Snow series could course correct some of the things, like I just said, that we all hated from the final 2 seasons. So you guys let me know what you guys are thinking about that down below in the comments.